Hey friends, how's everybody doing? Today I'm going to show you how to create a graph for the data that you collected about your FAST Plant lab. So what I have done here is I have a blank spreadsheet that I have opened, um, a Google spreadsheet, and I have split the screen with the spreadsheet that we used to collect the data. So I would suggest that you do the same thing so that you can see your data and you can kind of organize that data into a different spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, find your group. Remember that we have these different options down here, 7th hour, 6th hour, etc. So hopefully we have at least 4 or 5 days of data. If we don't, that's okay. We're just going to kind of make do with what we have. I'm going to try to find somebody who has a lot of data while I make my graph here. So I think I'm going to go with Ethan and Meldon. They've got quite a few days of data here. So, and remember, their data goes all the way across like so. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to type in day, and then I want to have control 1, control 2, experimental 3, remember that's how we labeled our plants, and experimental 4. And then this is just going to be day 1. Even though the days aren't consecutive, these are just like the days that we measured. It would be better if we actually had the date, which actually wouldn't be that hard to do. We could look and see what day that was typed in there, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So I'm hoping that they have about 4 or 5 days of data. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these numbers. There's 4 numbers there. I'm going to highlight them, and I'm going to copy. I'm going to go over to that spot here, and I'm going to paste. Now I'm going to slide my spreadsheet over so I can get their next group of numbers. Highlight those numbers, copy, paste. I'm going to slide the spreadsheet over and get their next group of numbers for a different day. Copy. Go down to day 3, paste. It looks like we didn't get any numbers there. So I'm going to skip that row and I'm going to go over here. Copy. Paste. It looks like we've got one more set of numbers here. These numbers look a little bit funny because like, how did this plant go from 6.5 to 2 centimeters? Maybe it shrunk and died. This plant went from 8.5 to 2.5 centimeters, which is kind of odd. That really shouldn't happen. But we could also have just a mistake with our data collection, and that happens in science too. So those will be things that you end up writing about in your conclusion that you're going to write up. So now I'm going to just kind of make this window bigger. And one thing about creating graphs in Google spreadsheets is they do not like fractions. So we don't want to have a 2.5, we want to have a 2.5. So I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix this 1.5 to 1.5. And they also don't like to have labels within the data. So I'm going to take out that CM. I'm going to take out that CM. I'm going to take out that one. And I'm going to take out that one. Okay, so now this is all we need in order to set up our electronic graph. So what you're going to do is highlight that whole thing, including that column way over there on the left. Once it's highlighted, I'm going to hit Insert Chart. And it takes a minute. And now here we have a line chart or a line graph, whatever we want to call it. There's a couple things that need to be kind of tweaked a little bit. Sometimes it'll automatically put your data into like some weird bar graph or something, or a column. We don't really want that. We want to see change over time, and this really doesn't show us that. So where it says chart type, we really want to have this one. That's the suggested one that the program gives you anyway. Now, one thing that I would like to do is change the title. So you can see when I hover over it, I can double click, and I'm just going to call it Fast Plant Growth Chart. And I can bold that. I think I can center it. Oops, I'm bolding the wrong thing. Can I center that? Doesn't want me to do that. Why don't you want me to do that? Maybe I have to do it down here. Oops, double click again so I can get that open. Chart title. Here's where I can move the chart title to the center. I can bold it. I can italicize it. I could change the color to green. Some of you guys like to do that stuff. It's kind of fun. So the other thing that I am missing is a vertical label. I have a horizontal label for my x-axis. I have day. I've got a legend here. That can also be played with. You can change that. But right where it says chart title, I need to add a vertical, this is a drop-down menu. I can add a vertical axis title. So I am going to call this height in centimeters. And maybe I want that bold so I can see it a little bit better. Maybe I want the font a little bit larger. Maybe I want the color different. I don't have to do any of those things, but just kind of things that you could do. Now here's the legend. If I hover over the legend, I can actually play with that too. Like the position right now is in the automatic position, but I could put it, let's see what happens when I put it inside. What if I put it to the bottom? Kind of like that better. What if I put it to the right? I kind of like that too. I can make my graph a little bit bigger as well. So now my graph looks pretty good. I can start analyzing it. I can make some conclusions. I can maybe make the conclusion that this point right here was faulty data. Somebody maybe collected that data incorrectly. It looks like overall my experimental plant number 3 grew the tallest. And so we're going to start making some conclusions as to why when we're writing up our conclusion. The last thing to do then is to take this chart and you can copy it. How do I copy it? Maybe I have to get out of it first. Maybe I just hit Control C. Let's try that. Control C. And then when I go over to my, okay, here, when you're doing your conclusion, use the directions to create an electronic graph, copy and paste it below. Let's see what happens. I don't want to paste it linked. And now I've got it pasted right into my conclusion sheet. So that's how you make a graph. If you had a hard time following, keep watching this video and pause it as many times as you need to.